Get that out the way.
Right as I start recording, right as I hit record, you decide to cough it. It's okay. It's okay.
You
Welcome to
don't hold me
Scoop
over.
Center. Welcome to Scoop Center. Our very first video. Super excited. And it's a topic that will be in the sports world for the next decades, however long it's going to be. It may be in the sports world forever. That asterisk that everyone thinks about when we talk about Kevin Durant. It's always going to be there. And I really wanted to get everyone's opinion in this call. And we all know what I'm talking about. KD going to the Warriors. Um, it's it was a huge move that everyone had an opinion about, whether you agreed with it, whether you disagreed with it. There was an opinion out there for everyone. So I wanted to get your guys' opinion because I felt I myself had a pretty unique opinion about it. Um, and so we'll get into all the opinions. If you guys don't mind, I mean, I'll start and then we'll just go down the list. So I really disliked in general everything when it first happened. I was angry. I did not like KD going to the Warriors. As a from a fan standpoint, watching the NBA after KD went to the Warriors during that time, it was great watching Warriors games. It was fun watching them. They were a fun group to watch, but there was no competitiveness. I mean, they were just blowing teams out the water. And even in games where it felt like it was close, you knew it wasn't close. I mean, it honestly felt like watching wrestling. It felt like you could tell what the outcome was going to be. Like it was scripted. Like you knew who was going to win. It was going to be the Warriors, no matter how close it looked. They just turned it on. We know the third quarter Warriors. They just turn it on when they need to turn it on, and it got kind of boring at the end. But in looking back on it now, years later, there's only one part that really upsets me. It doesn't upset me that he went to a really good team because anyone can go to a really good team. That's not really that upsetting. I think there were other destinations that kind of made more sense, but I wasn't angry at him for going to Golden State. I was angry at him going to Golden State for one reason and one reason only, and that was because he's going to the team that he lost to the season prior, and he was the best player on his team when he lost to that team. When you're the best player on that team, you're one of the first people that everyone is looking at as to why you lost that series. You're looking at coach, you're looking at the team, sure, but that best player is definitely one of the most scrutinized. And for him to jump ship like that to the team that you just lost to, like I always try to wrap my head around it as a competitor. I'm a very sometimes over the top competitive person. Like I love winning. I love winning games. I'll do whatever it takes to win. But not that. I'm not. If a team just beat me, I'm pissed. I'm thinking about that team, especially as a pro. When this is my life, I'm thinking about that team. I'm waking up. I'm having nightmares about those games, and I can't go to the team of the person of who I'm having those nightmares of. I just can't. It's that competitor in me. It's like it shows something that I feel is kind of been shown through the stuff that KD has said in the media or in interviews. I mean, he just has a very, and this is a very nice way of putting it, a very unique competitive spirit. Like there's times where it doesn't feel like he's like that top-notch competitor. And I was having this argument with someone, I can't remember who, and they were telling me, oh, not everyone has the Mamba mentality. Not everyone, is going to have that super ultra competitor. Oh, Antoine. It was Antoine, yeah. But I'm just like, you don't have to have Mamba mentality, but you have to have a competitive mentality, and you don't have one if you're going to play for the competitor. And that really irked me. So let's go down the list and we'll talk about everyone's opinion. Let's start with Jeremy because I know Jeremy has one that kind of coincides with mine.
Yeah, I share. So a lot of what you said kind of does resonate with the way I think regarding the situation. My thoughts with Kevin Durant joining the Warriors, I don't mind that he chose them as a destination because as a free agent, you have the liberty and freedom to choose what team you sign for, what team you feel like puts you in the best position to win. Kevin Durant absolutely did that, and understandable because players like him are always going to want rings, It's the team he chose that beat him the season prior that I have an issue with, same as you, Daniel. That really takes a new meaning to, if you can't beat him, join him, saying, it's Kevin Durant is a living version of that quote. and it frustrates a lot of fans just even thinking about that, because if you look at, the team that he had when he was on with the Oklahoma City Thunder, I think they had a shot. Had they kept that core, had they kept that team, we would have likely seen them in the finals, you know, instead of the Warriors. If Kevin Durant would have stayed, we would never know. There's a lot of what if scenarios that we can always play in our heads. We can always say, what if, the three players of Harden, Westbrook, and Durant never left? What if this happened? What if this happened? There's so many different scenarios we can play out. But the one that did play out that we all witnessed was Durant leaving OKC to sign with the Warriors, to make the super team, and to make, honestly, the entire NBA somewhat boring to watch, because at the end of the day, we knew from the Western Conference it was going to be one team and one team only. It didn't matter how the other teams stacked up. It didn't matter who the other teams brought in. We knew that it was going. The Warriors were almost unbeatable during that period, And it's not to say that they were invincible. We saw that, with the times that they went to the NBA Finals, but it was still a time where basketball just wasn't as fun to watch when they had that super team going.
100%. Let's go to Deontay.
Yeah, man. So my take on it, I mean, I pretty much disagree with you guys. I have to. What I will say I would disagree with though is I do understand that in free agency it's your choice to go to whoever you want to go to. Like it's free agency, it's your choice. But not only did you just lose to them this literally like the series or the season prior in the playoffs, bro, but you choked a 3-1 lead. Like that's way bigger than just losing the series. That's not like it was 2-2, 3-3, going to a game seven and then you lost, or you lost 4-2 in a 6-game series. No, you had a substantial advantage against them in a 3-1 series and you choked it away. Like, bro, you can't just go join the team that just did you like that. If anything, bro, you're supposed to round the team up that you have in OKC. Make sure that they know that you're behind them 100%. That a large part of that was your fault because you're the best player on the team, like you guys said, and let them know we're going out with vengeance next season. We're going out to prove a point that what happened last year was a mistake. We're gonna definitely make sure that that doesn't happen again, and we're gonna reclaim what should have been ours in the first place was the Western Conference Championship and should have been going to the finals to play against Cleveland. So, I mean, I just think, like everybody else thinks, I just think it was weak. I mean, that team broke the record for the most wins in a season. Like, I can't respect it whatsoever. He could have gone to any other team though. And I mean,
Yeah,
I personally say my favorite team's in the Western Conference. So and specifically in the Pacific Division. So we have to play against them more than twice every season. And then if we make the playoffs, we got to play them in a 7-game series. So it's like the only thing that's beating them is injuries. Sad to say, but if you have to go against them in a 7-game series, bro, like you already know what the outcome is. So it hurt me big. I can't lie.
yeah, no, and it was. I get if there's turmoil within your team, but there's other destinations that you could have gone to, or there was other choices that you had, and he made that choice, and I think he knew the repercussions that were going to come from it in the end. Antoine, what did you think?
Mm. So Kevin Durant was my favorite. I'll say LeBron. LeBron's the GOAT, yada yada, whatever. KD was my favorite player at the time. Like low key, I was a bandwagon for KD. Like that's where KD went. I was an OKC fan, like partially. Like that was my guy. And then it was like, I get it. It's not necessarily that he went to the Warriors. I guess it's more just like the timing. Cause like you have Golden State, they win a championship, beat Brown without Kyrie and Caleb, come back, run it back, best team ever if you look at the record, like literally best team I'll ever do it record wise. Braun finds a way to come back 3-1. All of a sudden, after you choke, like you choke, it started all the slander for Westbrook. Soon as KD left, it was Westbrook's fault he left. It was Westbrook was the reason they could never win. Westbrook, that's when more hatred came for Curry, or even more hatred got put on Westbrook because then it became Westbrook or West versus Curry, who was better. It was like you couldn't say Curry wasn't better because Curry had Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Kevin Durant, and it was just so effortless for them. And then Russ wasn't. It just I don't know. It started a lot of things. It's the team that beat you. it's why Golden State? Like I don't know, man. There's so many. place you could go to, and it's like,
Those were his boys. That's what I've heard people say, and I'm sure what he was thinking. The Steph Curry, they were buddy in the All Star games, and I mean, it was probably something they had been talking about.
I get that, but you blew the lead, then left, didn't say nothing to Westbrook, who's supposed to be close to you, thankfully your MVP speech, all that. If all that stuff you're saying is true, and you just don't say nothing to him, then a whole narrative gets put onto somebody else that he's the reason everyone leaves because he doesn't want to win or he can't figure it out. Proves it's not him. Carries, I don't know. It's he did it after like it was like thought we were done with Golden State because Bron beat them. They're like, oh wait, no, we're just gonna add KD and run it back. So then I was like, well, now what's LeBron gonna do? He's still with that Cleveland monstrosity, and then they have to run it back. Gets Bron swept 2 times in a row. Now that's a blemish on LeBron's record. No one even really respects the rings he has for them. I mean, I don't. It's just anger. I've made my peace, but there was a lot of anger when he left in my heart. I can't even lie. There's a lot of anger.
Understandable. That's an anger that, I mean, you were not the only one that felt. Gino, anything new you have to say that we haven't stated?
Yeah, so I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit. Um,
Yes.
I do want to state that I'm in agreement with all of you guys. I think it was one of the weakest moves. Um, Jeremy mentioned it. What team gives you the best opportunity to win a ring? It's the Golden State team. Also, I'd like to mention that nobody's mentioned the burner accounts. So KD in this entire situation, like the insecurity of that guy is just off the charts. But what I will say is, since we're critiquing KD as a person, if I'm in his position, what is the percentage of NBA players that have ever played in the league that have a ring? I'm just curious. Like, I mean, I don't have the stat in front of me, but I'm sure it's probably less than 1%. So if I'm in KD's situation, going to that Golden State Warriors team wins me a ring. That's something that me as a person, I will have that ring forever. There's nothing that anybody can say I mean, as much as I love you guys, but if I'm KD, I don't care what you guys say on a podcast about me. I don't care what
Right.
you say, if it's an asterisk or whatever. I got the ring in
Right.
my hand, a physical thing that represents a part of history. So, although I do agree with you guys that it was cheap, and I'm a Celtics fan, we were in the running for him. I think we were in second place. So that pissed me off even more. But at the same time, kind of taking myself out of the situation of, I know I'm a fan. I want the most competitive league as possible. When I take myself out of those shoes and I put myself in his shoes, yes, it is still weak, but at the same time, I can see why that is so appealing for him. So that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, he got a ring, and he like you said, he got his ring, the physical, like holding it, like it means something that when you finally get that ring. But I mean, I don't know. It's so like, and having fun with the Golden State team. I'm sure he had fun with them. It was a really fun dynamic. It was fun watching them, and if it's fun watching it, it's fun doing it. So I'm sure that he was enjoying himself on that team and trying to block out the haters. But I mean,
It was funny
Also,
because
I think,
Draymond said we don't need you here anymore.
yeah,
Well,
I
it's
do I
also
do want to
okay.
add that KD on the Warriors team, like that Warriors team wasn't really fun to watch. Like it was a lot of ISO ball compared to the Warriors before KD came, where it was that just run and gun offense where threes were flying. KD comes now, it's like completely changed.
but I remember,
So
especially in transition, they were fun to watch in transition.
Well,
yeah,
that was just because Steph, like, once they got hot, Steph could just pull from half, and it was like,
No, no.
it
Once they
was
got
it was just funny, like, especially with his burners. Like, KD was one of the main people who used to talk about like people like switching teams because like that's not a competitor. And like I remember Dame like called him out. He was like, I thought he wasn't switching teams for this. And it's like
He defended
especially.
himself. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he said,
I saw it.
yeah, he defended himself. Someone said, I thought we weren't switching teams or something along those lines, or like, or what changed? And then Kevin Durant said the times. Like now that everyone's
Yeah,
on super teams, that's why he went to a
That's
super
such
team.
an insecure answer.
it's
Like,
it's such bullcrap. Cause it's like it's also like it was a time where people were like, well, LeBron did it. It's like, well, plenty of people did it before LeBron. So like you can't say that someone else like no, that's not the case. And it's just like
And the easy argument that everyone makes: LeBron joined his friends to beat his enemies. Kevin Durant joined his enemies to beat his friends.
mhm,
mhm.
mhm.
I mean,
I
it's as
mean,
simple as that.
it would have been the same thing as like if LeBron would have went to the Celtics after leaving the Cavs.
Ugh,
Like
Yeah,
don't
it
speak
would have
that
been
into
the same.
existence.
Stop
he'd
it,
have 5
Gino.
rings. Yeah,
Stop
Really,
it,
shut
Gino.
up.
really.
Keep,
Stop
hey,
it.
You
hey,
sound like
hey,
every Laker
keep
fan
the
who said they
rings.
hate.
Keep the
I
ring.
like
We
that.
don't want that.
That's
Stop
We
so
got
it.
much cap coming out your
Stop
mouth
it.
right
It's
Stop
now.
so
it.
much cap. You don't believe that. It's just
So
because you're a
much cap.
Laker now.
Stop
When you went
it.
to the Lakers, you're a little hurt. That's
disgusting.
Stop it.
Such cap.
Stop it.
I
We
will
don't
say
want one
though,
of the best of all time.
devil's
Get out of
We
here.
got plenty
the
of them.
devil's
We'll
Paul
name
advocate.
Pierce?
one. Yeah.
Poopy
He
Pierce?
proves himself. He proves
Poopy
himself.
Pierce. You got Poopy
Hendrick,
Pierce?
Hendrick Perkins? The starting five?
Shaq. Hey, they had Shaq. Don't disrespect. They had a prime Shaq. Don't get it
Didn't they
twisted.
have Scalabrini? Like, I'm pretty sure that guy's a goat.
The
Yeah.
Oh, you're
goat.
right. You're right.
That's funny. Also, like to be fair to KD, especially like you see it now, like James Harden going to Brooklyn. So many people tell like NBA players, especially like this generation, that like, well, they don't have a ring, so I don't want to hear nothing. So it's like at some point you have to like, when all they get told is until they win a ring, they're not a great or they're not better than someone we already know they're better than just because they don't have that ring. It's like, well, then now if you keep telling me this and the competition keeps getting better, don't get mad if I go get my ring and then you can't say nothing to me because I have more than you and I'm better than you.
But I mean,
It,
we all know that he's in contention to get the ring this year, and I think that personally, him getting a ring this year means a million times more than him getting a ring with the Warriors. I mean, even though it's still like a super stacked team, it's not the same thing for the reasons why I kind of hold him accountable for the Warriors rings. It's a different situation, and I've been saying it. Him winning a ring somewhere else, it validates him as a great player. But I mean, you don't. There's not a lot of people that you have to say that in history that they've won a ring, and you're still looking for validation. And that's how I feel about Kevin Durant.
I will say
Yeah.
though, Antoine did make a really good point about the whole you get scrutinized as a star who doesn't have a ring in this league today. Like, bro, like when like and Shaq in general, bro, like when he talks, or like when other like NBA players from the past talk when they have that platform, like they be on current players' head about not having a ring.
But how many people in history get scrutinized for having a ring? Kevin Durant is one of those people.
No, but it's
Well,
like
it was
every
because of the situation. You're
NBA
right. I'm
player.
saying it was
Like
because of the situation.
it's like every NBA player that's has a chance of being good gets scrutinized. And I think like there's a lot more. I think the superstar pool now is more spread out, and like there's just more superstars in the league, whether like teams are good or not. There's a lot of superstars compared to like even the '90s. There's just like, I mean, I guess like skills not everything because you still have to be like, I don't know. They just get like told so much they don't win, and then like, okay, you can only tell them that so much before they leave. So if they leave and go get their ring, you can't then say, well, you took the easy way out. It's like, well, there's 5 super teams in the league. Not because people are creating them, it's just like there's a lot of good players. So there's 5 or 6 decent big threes that you have to worry about. And until Brooklyn came, you could say the Lakers were the favorites for the finals, and they were, but it was nowhere near that much of like a guaranteed thing. And
But you
It
then
was
telling me
it was a lot of parity.
there's no opportunity for the second best player in basketball to do something similar to LeBron did and go to another team and create some kind of super team versus joining an already established top team in the league and just destroying everyone?
I think like there's nothing stopping them. I just think it's like hmm, money just plays a huge part in it. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Like people could just still work together. I think if anything, it's easier now for people to like. I think that's what I'm saying. Like it's easier now for people to be like, okay, I want to win. Like if Charles could have got traded, Charles would have got traded. Like if that was a thing, and like agents were really working to get players what they wanted back then. I think it's a different conversation. Because then Charles Barkley can say, nah, like I want to go get my ring, I'm gonna go. But then there's still gonna
It's
be
also a
people.
very different era. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And it's different now. Like you said, it's different. It's easier now more than ever to be like, this is where I want to go, and I'm not going to play a game of basketball until I go there, like Andre Iguodala did.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say, bro. Like we see people who aren't even like super big names doing it. Like I would mention Anthony Davis, but like you just mentioned Andre Iguodala. Yeah, I mean you can mention Trevor Ariza. Trevor Ariza didn't play a single game for whatever team he was on previously, and now he's in Miami, and like now he's in a potential contender. Like there's, it's way easier now than it was back then. Back then you kind of just had to tough it out with what you had and just make ends meet, like just make it work. But yeah, no, yeah.
Back then was like the NFL now. Like in the NFL, you don't really have too much leverage on where you can go unless you get a no trade clause. Outside of that, you don't. There's not too much leverage you have because they can just take your money in the NFL. They don't got to pay you. The NBA, they got to pay you. So agents can have that freedom to say he's not going to play till you trade him somewhere, and he doesn't want to go somewhere trash. So either lose and get nothing for him when he leaves in free agency, or make the trade.
So I mean, everyone's kind of in. Everyone here has their own like distinct opinion, their own personal opinion that's kind of a little bit different than everyone else's. But in the grand scheme of it, we're all kind of on the same page about this. Correct?
KD's trash.
Yeah, for sure. KD's not trash.
KD's not trash.
He's not trash. He's top two.
Trash
The move he made was trash.
Yeah,
Very trash decision. There we go. Yeah, he's still KD.